Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series. Hey guys, it's Adam here, and what you're looking at right there is Seattle, Washington. I recently got to take a trip out there for Pax Prime 2015. I was sent out there as part of my other channel, Game Society Pimps, Compliments of Machinima. Yes, the Machinima. They get a bad rap, but I swear they've always been extremely nice to us. They sent us all out there, the four of us, covering things like our hotel and, our food and our badges and all that good stuff. They basically sent us to PAX Prime. Last year we went to PAX Prime and they kind of, just had us function as, shall we say, entertainment at their booth. This year they didn't even have a booth and they still wanted us to go, which was really nice of them. So it's also an opportunity to, to talk to them, meet up with them, have dinners on them, all that good stuff. Think of it like a big business meeting. I basically went to PAX as a business arrangement. Now, this year was ironic because they really wanted us to go just kind of for the fun of it, but we didn't really get that chance. Guys, I'm at PAX. There's no one here. I was like the only person that showed up. Okay, so obviously that isn't true. All right, here I got many things I want to tell you guys, and we're going to do that. First thing, though, is I'm showing you this tour I got to do. This is basically the main floor of PAX. It's substantially smaller than things like Gamescom. I've never been to E3, but I would assume it's smaller than that as well. It's more of a chill environment where they just kind of have a lot of nerd things, but primarily they focus on video games. And they just kind of have displays. There's not really like announcements, but you can play games. Alright, so what you're looking at here, of course, is the one side of the convention floor. It's basically two main halls. And I was lucky enough, for reasons I'll explain later, to be able to stick around after one of the days it was closed, and I could just get footage without all the hordes and hordes of people. And I assure you, on a regular time frame, there is tons and tons of people. But here I didn't have to. But as I mentioned before, there were like business deals going on. I'll talk about that as they become relevant. But now let's kind of focus on what I was actually seeing here now. So a lot of that stuff early on, you saw a lot of the stuff by Bethesda. They had a bunch of stuff set up, various computer companies there. WB Games had, Mad Max and Lego Dimensions. Xbox had a really big section there. Nintendo's booth was over there, which I'll show you in a minute. Giant headphones there by Turtle Beach. This cool car set up by, I'm not even actually sure who. Nintendo again over there, and then this is the indie booth area. Lots of little games, and stuff that people are just demoing and trying out, and yeah, very, very neat area. There's actually, the indie mega booth. There was actually only one story that I really would have about the indie booth, which I'll show you in a moment when we get there. Now, this booth right here is for D4. Now, I had the chance to talk to the people running the booth, and I was like, yeah, is D4 ever going to get like a physical Xbox One release? Because right now it's only digital. And they're like, I don't know. And I was like, because Amazon UK has a pre-order for it. And they were like, yeah, I have no idea what that's all about. They're like, sometimes stores just pre-order stuff even when we don't know anything about it. And I was like, all right. So, no confirmation on that. But you can see the big PlayStation booth. Of course, right next to the Xbox booth. They're so, they're enemies. No, not really, as I'll show you later. But, yeah, so there was all sorts of games on display. I mean, everything. There's the Uncharted collection was playable. The great irony of this, though, is I actually played very, very few games. Like I said, this thing was more like... It was like a glorified business trip, more so than it was anything else. I mean, you ever had like one of your parents say, "Oh, I'm going away for a couple of days on business"? I mean, that's essentially what this was. Because I work obviously in the video game industry somewhat, if you want to call it that, doing video stuff. I forgot to get footage of the atrium here. This is like the part that links the two areas. I forgot to get that when no one was around, but you can see the stark contrast there. So this is on the other side. This was filmed on a different day, and this was just as it was closing. I probably should have waited a little bit longer until more people cleared out, but I didn't do that. But here you can see Capcom's booth, which was largely just merchandise, although they did have Street Fighter V playable. And then inside here, I didn't find this half of the building to be as exciting. I found the other half, the first part I showed you already, to be more interesting. Just because it had the three big players and more of the games I was into. This side was more PC gaming and Twitch and YouTube gaming and just a couple of random games. Oculus Rift was on this side as well, and a lot more stores. You know, that's not is something I'm as interested in, but I know you guys probably would be, at least some of you would, so I figured it'd be cool to show you guys what's up. YouTube gaming, man, they're making a big deal about that. I want to stress that, like, that's YouTube's like Twitch killer, at least they want it to be. Giant Pikachu thing over there, and Alienware had this big presence there, of course, and everywhere they go they bring this giant car. I'm not really sure why, but I've seen it multiple times now, including for Smite. I was at the Smite tournament thing in Atlanta earlier this year, and they had that as well, the same car. It's crazy. So now that you guys have a sense of the convention floor, I'm going to start giving you guys some stories about what I did. So in chronological order, the first thing I did was when I got there, I went to the Deep Silver booth. They had contacted me like the day before and said, Adam, you know, are you going to be there? And I was like, yeah. And they said, come to our booth. We'll give you some VIP treatment. So I certainly wasn't going to turn that down. So basically what that meant was that I got to just kind of cut the line and just, you know, check out all their games, which was really nice of them. And so they had a few different games here, but the real meat and potatoes of their booth was Homefront: The Revolution. Now, in that big boxy area you saw there, they were basically showing like a demo of the game for people, and then you actually got, you know, to come out and play it. It's an interesting idea where like it's an alternate reality where like North Korea like took over the U.S. and you know, you're kind of trying to be terrorists, I guess, and try to get them out of there. I could talk about the actual game, but I want to tell the story that the guy who I was talking to told me. His name is Will. Hell of a nice guy. He told me this great story about how originally they seriously looked into trying to get as an authentic of a North Korean experience as possible, and to do that they wanted to hire Dennis Rodman for marketing, but he just was unreasonably expensive, so they ended up not going with it. Now what you're looking at here is the one and only Mighty No. 9 prototype figure. This is the same figure that's going to come with the collector's edition for the Xbox One and PS4. No Wii U version, unfortunately. Nintendo apparently has strict rules about that. He actually let me hold it and play with it, so I was holding the one and only figure on the planet, which was really, really cool. And so just in general, I want to say a shout out to Deep Silver. That was really cool of them to hook me up and let me in there. Thank you again. After I was leaving Deep Silver, I went out to go have a meeting with Ubisoft, and while I was out there, I ran into Gio Corsi. He was just sitting in the lobby of a hotel, and I recognized him, and in case you don't know who he is, he's basically the head of the third-party division of PlayStation, and he's also one of the primary individuals responsible for having resurrected Shenmue. So I recognized him, and I went over, and I was just like, excuse me, are you Gio Corsi? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, dude, thank you, Shenmue. Like, it's such a big deal. That's amazing that you guys did that. And he was like, oh, yeah, right on. He didn't seem to be in, like, the best mood, honestly. But that's fine. I did work up the courage, obviously, to ask him to take a selfie with me. And he was like, yeah, all right. And he just stood up and took it. And then he went back to his business. So I want to thank him for that because he obviously didn't have to. But anyway, my next meeting, as it were, was with Ubisoft. And I'll let past Adam tell you what happened. Right here in this room is a special demo of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I'm invited to actually go play it and record footage of it, and I'll show it to you later on in this video. But first, let's go inside and take a look at the setup. So you can see the outside here. Of course, it's a Ubisoft special event meeting that this was actually very difficult to get into. As you can see, that's my buddy Emery on the left there. We were there for Game Society Pimps purposes, as I keep stressing to you guys, for my other channel. Again, I'm showing you this as a bonus. Ubisoft, of course, was hosting it, so it had free food and stuff. Ubisoft, I don't know why, but they love us, my other channel, and thank them for that, because it's really nice of them. But yeah, so you guys might recall I went out to Los Angeles for a Rainbow Six Siege event that Ubisoft brought me out for, and through that relationship, in communication with them, I got them to, let us into stuff like this, so that was nice of them to do. So in this case, again, it had free food and free stuff like that, but they also had, of course, PS4s set up, and a couple copies of the game, or at least that version of the build, and they wanted us to play it and let us record footage if we wanted to use it. I know I said I was actually going to show you some gameplay, but I'm going to have to hold back on that because The thing is, I'm actually now going to be going out to San Francisco, courtesy of Ubisoft, for a Assassin's Creed Syndicate specific event. So I figure I'll just show you this as a little bit of a teaser trailer, or teaser. This is some of the features in the game: Chameleon Skin, Knife Master, Voltaic Bomb. The Voltaic Bomb's pretty cool. It's like a big electricity bomb, and I thought it was pretty neat. So yeah, I also thought I would go ahead and show you the title screen here. I mean, look at that. That's pretty cool. So there's your little teaser. You'll get more footage later, I promise. And there's more on Game Society Pimps. Thank you again to Ubisoft for letting us in there and letting us check that out. So after that was over, we ended up going up to a private dinner hosted by YouTube, specifically YouTube Gaming. There were a lot of channels, including ours, that got in. I think that was something that we got through Machinima. Unfortunately, I have absolutely no footage of that, so I'm just showing you some random convention footage. But the party was interesting. It had a lot of famous YouTubers wandering around. I got recognized a couple of times, which was nice. PewDiePie was there, although I did not see him, but he apparently was at the bar at some point. I don't know if he was drinking or if he was just having like coffee or whatever. But it was cool. They had free dinner and, you know, free drinks, and there was a lot of people I recognized. And people from College Humor were there, and just a lot of random people. I made some good connections talking to people, so that was really neat. So the next day, after we had gone to sleep and everything, we woke up and we went to record a podcast. Machinima, they had no requests for us, like demands or anything like that we had to do. I mean, like I keep telling you guys, they're actually really cool people. But they did us a favor and said, hey, you know, if you want, we'll rent out this room and we'll get all this equipment together. And if you guys want to sit down and all four of you do a podcast for your own channel, we'd be happy to set that up. So that's exactly what we did. We did 2 podcasts in total. This was, I think, from the second one. The first one is on our channel, as is the second. But we did the first one, and then we went off and did other things, and then came back and did the second one. So if you're curious, you want to see what those are like, there's a link right there at the top. You can go ahead and click on that. After the first podcast, we went over and played Rainbow Six Siege. We had another meeting with Ubisoft that I had managed to schedule. I had played it at that event in Los Angeles, but my buddies hadn't, so I wanted to make sure they got to. Ubisoft, again, they allowed us to capture footage if we wanted to. And I want to clear up that misconception, because people were saying that on the Los Angeles video. Like, Ubisoft, yes, they of course want you to make a video. They would like you to make a video, and of course they'd like you to say good things about the game. But it's not like a requirement. I genuinely enjoyed the game. My buddies genuinely enjoyed the game, and Ubisoft was super nice to us. So much so that they let me schedule this appointment with them. Which, again, is part of the irony. Like, you know, we went just to relax initially, and we ended up having way more business meetings because companies like Ubisoft and Deep Silver kept wanting to talk to us, which was really cool. But nevertheless, so I also saw this. Outside of this, there's a Starbucks right there, and they make, like, custom drinks every year. Last year it was the Kong. This year they had a Darth Vader one. You can pause it if you want to read the ingredients. And they also had a Yoda one. I actually preferred the Yoda one, which I wasn't expecting. I had anticipated liking the Darth Vader one more. But there you go, inside that Starbucks. Now that's what had happened after the event, and when we went back in the convention center, something extremely unexpected happened. I saw this man. Do you recognize him? That is Billy D. Williams. That is Lando Calrissian himself. I was just standing there in that atrium area, and a bunch of, like, PAX security, like, you see that girl in the blue shirt on the right? There was a bunch of people like her with blue shirts coming around like, all right, everybody just move out of the way, just get out of the way. We thought they were just kind of, like, organizing or something. They didn't talk to me for some reason, though, even though I was in the exact area they were trying to clear out. And I'm just standing there, and I'm like, what are they doing? And then out of nowhere, Billy D. Williams comes walking out, and he's got, like, a cane, and he's got, like, his entourage around him. So, of course, I just quickly whipped out my phone, and this was the only photo I managed to get. But, yeah, I was, like, an arm's reach away from Billy D. Williams. How cool is that? So the convention floor closes at 6. But later that evening, I managed to arrange for us to be able to stay late to play For Honor by Ubisoft. Again, Ubisoft loves our other channel, Game Society Pimps. I know I keep plugging it, but yeah. So what they were cool enough to not only let us stay, which is how I got all that footage where no one's there. But by the way, it's my other Game Society members: Jason on the left, Emery in the center, Aaron on the right. Jason's the voice actor; he does Obama, Morgan Freeman, Christopher Walken, etc. But yeah, Ubisoft let us not only play this game, but they let us capture footage of it. We've actually already posted a video on it. I'll have a link above, which is, I can't stress enough as YouTubers how amazing that is. They told us, you are literally the third like group of people or just person at all, we have allowed to capture any gameplay of this. So you know, we really do like you guys that much. So that was really, really nice of them to do. And I can't thank them enough for that, because that's a really special opportunity. The next morning, we had one more meeting with Ubisoft in order to play Tom Clancy's The Division. This was actually like just about the only one. Well, I did play Rainbow Six Siege, obviously, but I did get to play The Division, which was really cool. And we were terrible at it, but somehow we won because we were better than everyone else, which was really nice. And thanks again to Ubisoft for letting us, basically giving us VIP treatment and letting us just kind of play the game. Then we had a meeting over at 2K to check out Battleborn. Now, Aaron, who you might recall earlier, had already played Battleborn because he had gone to some event in Los Angeles, similar to what I did. So he wanted us to check it out. Unfortunately, that didn't quite work out the way I had intended. Emery got to play, as you can see here. Jason ended up playing. And then Aaron was, gonna play, but then his PC ended up crashing, and then the game never ended up working out, and so I never got to play it either. Now this is Chris Charla. Okay, so here's another story. This is basically, he's one of the heads of Xbox, specifically of the Independent Game Division, or ID at Xbox, or yeah, I think that's exactly what it's called. So I ended up having a meeting with him. Hell of a nice guy. He's essentially like, as far as I understand it, he would be the Microsoft or Xbox equivalent of Gio Corsi, who I showed you earlier. Now, you can see in this picture, I'm wearing a Shenmue shirt. And when he first met me, his reaction was very different than Gio Corsi's. His reaction was, "Oh, Shenmue, that game's awesome. Or did you support the Kickstarter? Because I did." Like, I want to stress this enough. Just because like he works for Xbox and Xbox probably won't ever have Shenmue on it, it doesn't mean that he like hates Sony and he hates. If you like one and you hate the other, you have to remember the people who actually run this stuff, they don't care, and they actually like each other. They like each other's games. They like working with each other, hanging with each other. It's just part of the industry. So don't get all pissed off about stuff like that, because they don't feel that way. But anyway, I consider myself very lucky that I got to have basically like a 10-minute meeting with him. This was partially coordinated by a buddy of mine named Ronald, who you guys might remember from Gamescom. He lives in Austria. We actually both met Chris Charla at Gamescom, more so Ronald, because he was more engaging with him. But he did remember me, and he was willing to basically sit down and talk with me for a bit, or stand and talk with me for a bit. So you have to understand, for Game Society Pimps, a lot of what I do is communicate with some of these companies and try to get us games so that we can have like early access to stuff for YouTube videos and stuff, and that kind of thing. And so it was important to me to get a meeting with him, and he was very cooperative. That Microsoft has really turned around their position from a couple of years ago. They very much are all about YouTubers and independent games and exclusive titles, and yeah, so they get it. If for what it's worth, guys, they get it. I also talked to him about just other stuff with Xbox. I was asking him like what is the credibility of original Xbox backwards compatibility ever coming to the Xbox One, and his position was, I want us to do it, we want to do it, but all the guys who would be doing it are currently doing Xbox 360 backwards compatibility, and quite frankly, that takes more precedence. And I was like, that makes perfect sense. I also suggested that next year will be the 15th anniversary of the original Xbox, so maybe that's a good time for it. And then he joked about the idea of releasing an Xbox One that looks like an original Xbox. I wouldn't take that as a confirmation type of thing. He talked about it like that could eventually happen. He also was talking about other things he wants to bring to physical media, because he's a big physical media proponent. Talking about wanting to make a physical copy of like a Cuphead that comes with like a vinyl record. These were like his ideas. Nothing that you can really say is definitely going to happen. But yeah, so I mean, point is, he got it. Microsoft gets it. They're going in the right direction, and I got to give him a lot of credit for that. And again, I want to thank him for sitting down and talking with me. And yeah, he even gave me his business card, so I got direct line at Xbox. Hell yeah! My final day of PAX was a little bit different, and you guys can stay tuned because I'm gonna do separate videos on that. No, it's not just sushi, I swear. Though this is a really cool sushi place right by there. But that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later.